Cinderella story.
You want answers?
We're on a mission from God.
Inconceivable! Take your stinking paws off me!
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Have fun storming the castle!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Story Cauldron, finding the folktales, fables, and philosophies behind your favorite Hollywood films. I'm Bobby, the movie dude.
I'm Anthony, the philosophy guy.
I'm Garrett, and I have a basketball game tomorrow.
And
I hate myself.
And here on the Story Cauldron, we are going to spend the next hour exploring the stories behind a cinematic story that we all love. Just like how Tolkien describes the cauldron of story, out of which bubbles all of the different tales that our cultures like to tell, we like to look and see how every story depends on the stories that come before it.
And today we're looking at the greatest Christmas movie ever made. 1988's classic Die Hard.
Die Hard! Finally,
right? Yeah. Well, it's Christmas.
'Tis the season.
Christmas season.
That's right.
It's the first Christmas of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
exciting.
Christmas. All right. So let's just go ahead and get started with the movie itself, because I know we've dropped enough hints in this podcast that you probably know what we're talking about today. So, Garrett, go for it.
Alrighty. So a team of villains act out an elaborate plan to rob the Nakatomi Corporation during the company Christmas party. Having planned to the tiniest detail, Hans Gruber and his team are surprised to discover that renegade cop John McClane has come out to the coast to have a few laughs. With the moral support of Officer Al Powell in his ear, McClane takes out the bad guys one by one as he cracks some of the most memorable one-liners of the 80s.
That's so true, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember reading that. That's just all kind of blah, blah, blah.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Ho, ho, ho. So this was a movie that, it didn't get a lot of awards or it didn't get a lot of attention at the time, but it made a lot of money. I mean, especially considering what it cost to make, it was relatively cheap, and it made back almost 5 times the amount of money that it spent. So.
Which, if I remember right, there's kind of a funny story to go on to how that all came about. Basically, the Nakatomi Plaza was the headquarters of Fox, and they charged rent to themselves to use the building. And so
I don't understand how movie studio math works. I know
don't either.
It's all sorts of complicated, but ever since
it's like switching pockets, basically.
Yeah, I pay myself. Yeah, one for me, one for me. Anyway, since the movie came out, it has. Oh man, this movie is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it has inspired an entire genre of action movies like it. And it has, I mean, now it shows up on pretty much every top 100 movie list you can find. Actually, just this year, just a couple of weeks ago, it was added to the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress.
Really?
For being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, yeah.
You bet your boots it was.
Yeah, actually, it was a good year for you. You would love the list of movies, because Goonies is now added. And Field of Dreams also have all made the list. So,
that was a gasp.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Die Hard has since kind of entered into the public consciousness as this cultural icon. I mean, there are props from the movie that are in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, including the super messy white tank top.
Yeah, that's right. So, when was the first time you guys saw this classic American masterpiece?
Well, for me, I remember watching it on TV back in, middle school, high school, something like that. And it was a running joke, the whole famous line, "Yippee-ki-yay, my friend," or if you were watching on TNT or something, it was "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon,"
Mr.
And
Falcon,
it just became this running joke of my friends and I, and of course we would watch it every Christmas.
So you've done that since you were a kid?
Since about 13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first time I saw it in its entirety was either last Christmas or the Christmas before.
Oh, okay.
And I definitely got you haven't seen this entire movie from Bob. So
Was it just like you would just wander through the room when?
yeah, I knew
Other people were watching it.
knew what bits and pieces of it were, but I didn't know the storyline. I just knew that there was a lot of guns and, well, obviously one-liners because I remember walking through like the room and hearing, "Oh, it's so good! It's such a classic." But yeah, it was.
And I feel like I was
Last
watching
year,
it
year
at my
before.
buddies' places most of the time when I was in high school, but
Well, it's not really a movie you sit down with your grandma and watch.
although we have.
Fair enough. Well, this was not a movie that I watched growing up. I was introduced to it by my wife, actually.
Really?
Yeah, she loved it. I think I got her like the 3-pack before. So they made several sequels, and the 2 most recent sequels are relatively recent, just within the last 10 years. But I bought her for Christmas the 3-pack of the original 3.
Yeah.
And we watched through all of them in a weekend because I had never seen them before, and she thought that was just inappropriate. I don't know if she could marry me. I think it was when we were engaged, or maybe right after we got married. So it was only within the last 10 years that I saw it. But man, yeah, it is now. It's a Christmas tradition for us for sure.
Yeah. So, being a Christmas tradition, okay, it's been all over the internet lately. Would you definitely consider this a Christmas movie?
I would say yes, but I think we should table that because we gotta let's set the tone for where this is
Good.
coming from.
Sounds good.
First, because let's make the case for the other side. Because I'm guessing you guys are with me here. This is a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have thoughts.
So let's take a look at why people say it's not a Christmas movie, or like where it's coming from.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll prove them all wrong. So, yeah, because and the story behind where Die Hard comes from is insane. Do you know who the original actor was contractually obligated to be before Bruce Willis ended up taking the role?
I do know, but that's just because I did some quick Google research before we turned the microphones on. But I'll let you tell everybody.
Okay, so Die Hard is loosely based on a book named Nothing Lasts Forever by a guy named Roderick Thorpe. And the book it's really depressing for one. I mean, it's exciting. It's an action story, but it's a lot darker. Yeah, it's much more twisted, and it ends on a much sadder note. That was one thing that the director really wanted to change when he agreed to take on the project. He said, we're gonna make it more fun. But the book, the rights to the book were held by Clint Eastwood first. So Eastwood was actually going to, he wanted to adapt it and play the role. But the book is a sequel to a different book called The Detective, which originally, which was adapted into a movie back in the day with Frank Sinatra playing the lead role. So that means when Die Hard was going to be based on this book, Nothing Lasts Forever, they legally had to offer the role to Sinatra first, even though he was like in his 70s. So just imagine Die Hard, all of the crazy things that happen in that movie. Just imagine Frank Sinatra as a almost octogenarian, jumping off the building and running through the shards of glass, bleeding feet, and all of that. It's just
married to Holly Gennaro, who's like 30.
Yeah, I'm sure they would not have changed that. Hollywood would have seen no problem with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sinatra passed on it, obviously. And so then they decided, okay, well, this is a cool idea for a script. Let's give it to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because Commando had come out not too long before, and it had done well, and so they wanted to make a sequel to Commando. And so they thought, hey, we'll do this, but Schwarzenegger passed on it. And so after that, pick an 80s action star, and there's a good chance that he was probably offered the role at one point. Everyone from Al Pacino to Don Johnson to Richard Gere.
Wasn't Robert De Niro in there?
Yeah, De Niro. I mean, Stallone, Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was offered the role, and nobody wanted it. And so they eventually decided, hey, we'll give it to this guy from Moonlighting. And Bruce Willis
Who vaguely
became,
looks like your dad.
yeah. Bruce Willis became an action star, but yeah, compared to the book, oh man, I mean some of the stuff's the same. You've got like Al Powell is pretty much the same. Ellis, the cokehead, is almost no different. Now we have a machine gun. Well, yeah, it's a little bit different because in the movie now I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho! But in the book, he tries to like fake out the terrorists by saying now we have a machine gun. Like maybe there's more than one of me. But in the book, they're actual terrorists.
Yeah,
they're actually politically motivated. They don't like the company and they're trying to expose the company's evil doings.
Evil whatever.
Yeah. But the person that the cop, his name's not John McClane, his name's Joseph Leland. He's there to visit his daughter, not his ex-wife. And his daughter actually ends up dying at the end.
Aww.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I guess. But
I mean, if you don't want spoilers, then probably don't come to this podcast.
yeah, this is not the podcast for you, is it? But yeah, you remember how Die Hard ends? How he shoots Hans Gruber and Gruber falls out the window and yeah.
Classic slow mo. Yeah,
he falls all the way out the window and drags the daughter with him, and they both die, which is really sad. Oh, and the detective dies. The dumbest detective in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He actually sacrifices himself. That whole scene where Carl somehow isn't dead.
Yeah.
And comes back at the end just to give Powell an excuse to draw his weapon. That's in the book. But before Powell saves everybody, the Deputy Robinson, actually jumps in front of McClane and like takes a bullet from McClane and dies. So
so there's a little bit of a redemption in that. Just because he is worthless throughout the movie.
Oh my gosh, he's got to be the dumbest authority figure you've ever seen in a movie, right?
Yeah.
True.
So, nothing lasts forever. I have no idea how many people have actually read that book.
I don't know, but now I want to.
Yeah. I mean, because other than that, I mean, a lot of the story beats are really similar with breaking into the building and McClane or Johnson or Leland, that's his name. Leland is going through and taking them out one by one and all that. Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't know. I never would have thought Die Hard would have been based off of a book. But here we are.
Yeah, would you have guessed it was just... where would you have guessed it would have been coming from?
Somebody's cocaine-induced just deluge of thoughts.
The fever dreams.
Mm-hmm. The fever. Well, if I remember right, those changes came within the during shooting.
What do you mean?
So while they were shooting the film, they started playing around with the characters a little more, and then adding and twisting around a few things to just to make it work and make a more interesting movie. Like, there's one point where Gruber and McClane meet each other before McClane knows that it's Gruber.
Oh God!
You're one of them. Yeah, exactly. That point. And that wasn't...
He sounds so bad.
He does. That wasn't going to happen until... This is funny. It wasn't going to happen until Rickman, who plays Hans Gruber, showed that he can give a convincing English accent, or not English, American accent.
That's convincing?
It's convincing enough for...
It was the 80s.
Hey, you got to admit, though, his American accent's way better than the German of everybody else.
Fair enough.
On that team.
Yeah, they are... clearly the actors were picked for their size, their imposing size, and their fashionable hair.
Yeah.
And the fact that one guy was Asian. That was a trope in a lot of those 80s movies, right? I was glad that they didn't play that up because I thought, he's going to pull out the ninja moves or something.
Yeah.
But no, he's just I love the crunch bar scene.
Yeah, I was going to say, in fact, he goes for the crunch bar instead of the ninja moves.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, yeah, the ad-libbing, for all of the memorable lines in this movie, the thought that a lot of them were probably just spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Is it's impressive, and that really makes you appreciate Bruce Willis too. If they had got, I mean, say that Sinatra or De Niro or Burt Reynolds or somebody had actually taken this role, it would have been a completely different movie.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
definitely.
In tone, the script would be different. It's I don't know if people would really care about it as much as we do.
Yeah, because it's kind of a departure from the normal '80s action movies to where he's not like super buff and just overly enormous and just
He looks like your dad.
mowing down. Exactly, he's not mowing down a ton of people with machine guns. Yeah. Although he kind of does, but he doesn't have like the one in each arm and one in his teeth with a knife on his hip. He's not Rambo.
I was about to say, sounds very Rambo.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting, and I don't know. I think it's kind of refreshing for an 80s action movie.
Yeah, I mean, he is the right guy in the wrong place. He's in the wrong place at the right time.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's why I said this is so influential, because there are so many other movies that have come after that are based on that same kind of principle, where I think if you haven't, I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes to the honest trailers for Die Hard, because they go through and they joke about how many other movies can basically just be described as Die Hard on a plane.
And if I'm not mistaken,
Die Hard on a boat.
There is a Cracked After Hours that discusses the same exact thing on how the latest Die Hard movie is not exactly a Die Hard movie, but White House Down that came out at the same time is a great Die Hard movie.
Die Hard in the White House, yeah.
Oh, Cracked. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I love them
so good.
much.
So, I mean, I think having an action movie too that's so lighthearted. I mean, it's genuinely funny, even though it's pretty violent, and it has to be edited in all sorts of ways to play on broadcast TV. It's still like weirdly happy, optimistic almost. I think that's one thing that gives it the staying power that it has, and that's intentional. I mean, McTiernan, the director. So you're surprised that Die Hard was based on a book. Are you surprised to learn that it was influenced by Shakespeare as well?
Less surprised.
Less surprised?
Moderately.
Specifically, A Midsummer Night's Dream. McTiernan wanted to try and maintain that light kind of festive attitude. If you know A Midsummer Night's Dream, it all takes place on one night where everybody's all of the stories wrap up in just a matter of hours. Originally, one of the early drafts of the script, such as it was, was going to have it take place over a couple of days.
Yeah, it was like 3 days, I think.
Yeah, and the original book, it took place still over a short period of time, but longer. It went into the next day. It didn't end until the middle of the day. And so this one, it all takes place over the course of just one night. It ends at dawn. And and that's McTiernan wanting to try to capture A Midsummer Night's Dream, but with machine guns.
I dig it.
Yeah, for sure. So, what other influences are there within Die Hard? I mean, we've talked about Shakespeare, the original book. Some ad-libbing, but I mean, there's got to be a little bit more in there. This is the Story Cauldron podcast.
Well, something that I didn't quite realize until we started discussing this film was the choice of music for the different characters and sort of themes. So they have heavily in this film is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. The
Ode to Joy.
Yep.
That was the first song I learned how to play on the trumpet when I was in elementary school.
So Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is very influential for the music and scoring for this film. Anthony, why don't you take it away?
Well, it's kind of the theme for the terrorists when they are. It shows up a few times, like when they're doing various things, but the big one is when they actually open the vault and it plays in this big triumphant symphonic blast with the light coming from the inside. So yeah, it's a kind of a weird choice to have in an action movie, but it's I think it helps to also set that kind of more lighthearted tone because it's not ominous. Although they transpose it down into a minor key at various points, but it's still it's familiar, and it kind of, I think it's a happy song. It's unavoidably happy, so I think it helps to maintain that attitude.
Definitely. And I mean, if it's also used in one of Kubrick's classics, Clockwork Orange,
which is about as far from happy and perky as you can get.
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, the composer was like, yeah, we're not going to use Ode to Joy. And it wasn't
the composer
for Die Hard.
For Die Hard, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't until the director's like, hey, how about this? You know, it was used in Clockwork Orange for the most violent scenes. How about we use it here? And we're like, okay, well, yeah, maybe. I like Kubrick. So that was the exchange there, and now we have Ode to Joy symbolizing the arrival or the triumph of the, I'm not going to call them terrorists, the bank robbers.
The burglars.
The thieves.
Thieves, yeah. He's an exceptional thief.
Yes.
The benefits of a classical education. That's something that sometimes people think is a reference, but it's not really. When he says, so Gruber, he makes this quote that, Alexander wept for he saw there were no more worlds to conquer. It's not really clear what he's quoting. It's a quote that's been out kind of in pop culture for even before this movie, but it's not in any historical documents. If anything, there's actually it's actually the opposite. There's a story in one of Plutarch's histories about Alexander the Great discovering I think it's something talking about how big the world is and how big infinity is, and Alexander weeps because he realizes he could never conquer it all. So it's kind of the exact opposite of the joke that Gruber makes when he sees the models before he kills Takagi. But yeah, his classical education, I guess, I mean, it sounds nice, but he should have stuck to Beethoven, I guess. Beethoven. Oh, and another song also from A Clockwork Orange is Singing in the Rain. Yeah, like they wanted to reference that Kubrick appreciation by including this song, which is also a big deal in A Clockwork Orange. But
yeah,
it's kind of Theo's music when the computer expert is typing. He's kind of whistling, singing in the rain.
Gotcha. Yeah, it totally adds kind of a disorienting feel to it's like, okay, wait, what? And I totally love it.
Yeah, talk about disorienting, though. How about the Night Before Christmas poem being used to kill a bunch of FBI agents?
Yeah.
Or SWAT team agents? That's what they are. Yeah.
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 Totally a twist on a childhood memory.
So let's talk. Let's talk about the Night Before Christmas poem. What do you think about that, guys? 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring except these guys going by 2x2 standard cover formation.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, is that a book that you guys would read at Christmas time? Is it a poem? Because it's a book, but it's a poem, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets brought up a lot. I don't remember actually sitting down and being like, we're going to read The Night Before Christmas. But it is something that's kind of just like common culture knowledge.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid. Yeah, it's a poem that's been around for almost 200 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a couple of decades away. We don't know who wrote it. It was first published anonymously, and it's kind of become one of those strangely contentious things over who exactly is the author. I mean, if you look up stuff about The Night Before Christmas, or the technical term is A Visit from St. Nicholas. That was the actual title. Yeah.
I see.
For a while, a guy named Clement Clark Moore he claimed the the poem. But since then, a lot of people are attributing it to another guy named Henry Livingston Jr., who I think this is one of those debates that academics really like to get into. But I think most people probably don't care about it at all. It's, regardless of who wrote it, the poem itself has had this amazing, it's impossible to overstate how influential this poem has been on the American understanding of Christmas. The idea of Christmas as a time to give presents to children, the conception of Santa Claus as this fat, elfish, jolly figure. It's not coming out of nowhere, but it's not before that poem that you really see that idea taking off in the country. It is, he's relying on other ideas coming before him, like Washington Irving had described St. Nicholas in ways kind of like this poem does, whoever wrote it. But the idea that the reindeer are flying, the names of the reindeer that we often think of come from that poem. But it does get twisted and changed a little bit over the years.
Yeah, I think the only version of that poem that I actually sit down and listen to every Christmas is the version that John Malkovich does on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the little snippet you hear in a Christmas Vacation.
Oh, well, there's that too. But when John Malkovich sits down on the SNL soundstage and starts talking to kids about,
Oh, I have some candy. Here's some Hall's Mentholyptus.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we used to suck on pennies, and it was a delight.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just a really weird departure from the actual...
Wait. John Malkovich is weird?
Oh, what? You didn't know?
I guess. If you say so, I'll take your word for it.
But every year. That's the real version of the poem that I hear every year.
That's what gets you nostalgic.
That's what gets me nostalgic. Just because it's so absurd and funny that
it is.
We have to watch it over and over again. But as for the actual story, I don't think I've heard it since I was 9 or 10.
The actual poem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You hear snippets of it in referenced in other things like Christmas Vacation, or you see parodies of it, like Saturday Night Live, but also adaptations of it with Bugs Bunny or with Mickey Mouse, or
exactly.
All sorts of different cartoon characters will do it. You really can't get away from it. It's like Jingle Bells. It's just everywhere for Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Yeah, and because Die Hard is obviously a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah,
there it is, right there in the middle with machine guns.
There's too many references to Christmas to not be.
So what makes a Christmas movie? Why, if you want to say this is a Christmas movie, what are the necessary qualities it has to have?
Well, I feel like this is that big discussion that's been on the internet lately, because it's not only Die Hard that's in this discussion. You've got movies like Lethal Weapon.
Weapon?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know if that counts, though.
Right?
I think that would be a good counterpoint, because those are really similar movies.
Very similar movies.
In fact, sidebar, did you know that Die Hard 3 was originally going to be a Lethal Weapon movie?
What?
Yeah, the script. And think about it. They come up with Zeus.
Yeah.
Because it's a buddy comedy, which is what Lethal Weapon is all about. Lethal Weapon's fantastic, but it's very different from Die Hard. And Die Hard 3, even though you've got Jeremy Irons, and anything he's in is fantastic, just like Alan Rickman. But it is kind of different than the other ones.
Totally different.
But anyway, Lethal Weapon.
A lot of people are saying that Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie, or arguing that it is not. And if that is not, then Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
But that is a false parallel.
I agree. Take an introduction to the logic class.
So I would say this is a Christmas movie because the plot does not make sense unless it takes place on Christmas. Like the fact that Christmas is it's not just set at Christmas. Like Lethal Weapon just happens to be set at Christmas.
Yeah.
But that never really factors into the story. I mean, other
You
than
see Christmas decorations.
you see
and stuff,
Christmas decorations.
But that's just dressing the set.
I mean, until you mentioned it right now, I forgot that it was a Christmas movie because you remember all sorts of awesome things about it, but not that.
Not that it's taking place during Christmas, yeah.
But there is nothing in Die Hard that would happen. The whole reason that John McClane is at the Nakatomi building is because he's going to meet his ex-wife at the Christmas party, and he's come out to California to spend Christmas
With his family. Yeah. It's like a more violent, I'll be home for Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, and so in that regard, I would argue that this is even more of a Christmas movie than something like It's a Wonderful Life. Because It's a Wonderful Life is, I would put that in the Lethal Weapon category.
Takes place at Christmas, but not necessarily a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plot of It's a Wonderful Life turns not on the fact that it's Christmas, it turns on the fact that he's sad. And he's sad because it's Christmas, yeah, but he could be sad for any number of reasons.
Yeah.
Be sad because it's Easter.
Right, or he could be sad because, he just got fired or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I never really liked that movie.
I like
Thank
that
you.
movie.
Yeah, I don't really care.
I like Frank Capra.
Well, I mean, you sure that
So-
I mean, you can't fault the production team. I mean, James Stewart.
Yeah.
Come on. But I never really liked the movie.
I don't know. I like it, especially the little snippet that you get in Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
And then you hear the doorbell.
yeah. But speaking as a guy who's had to teach theology classes, this is one of those movies that really makes people ask dumb questions.
Yeah, I see that.
But
I
anyway,
can see.
Yeah, you see what I mean, though? Like, that's in the category of Lethal Weapon, where it's just coincidentally Christmas. That doesn't make it a Christmas movie. I mean, if you think about other Christmas movies, like, would Home Alone be a Christmas movie?
Yes.
AKA
Yes, it would.
Die Hard Jr.?
Yeah, it totally would. Yeah, Die Hard Jr. I like it. Because the whole reason that these bandits are hitting the street is because people are gone for Christmas.
People are gone for Christmas. That's right. And the whole reason that he's
Left
home
home is
alone
because-
is because his
because his
family
family
has
left for
left for Christmas. Yeah.
It's integral to the plot.
Yeah, and even movies that are not movies that are not necessarily great classics, something like Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Because it only makes sense if it's set at Christmas. And then obviously you've got like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, those classic claymation Santa Claus is coming to town.
Creepy ones, yeah.
We've been talking about those a lot lately.
Creepy?
They did freaked me out a little bit when I was
I'm
little.
okay with it, but like
Just something like how they were like unnaturally moving. You know, I was like,
kind of like they're like possessed
I think that's
toys.
why The Grudge messes with me so much.
Oh, we need to recut the trailer for The Grudge, but instead of the kid going down the stairs, just have the Bumble rolling backwards. Bumbles bounce. Man, we are going all over the place.
We
in this
are.
one.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Mary Chrysler.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a lot of these movies that we watch. It's you think more of Christmas than the actual plot, and you know they may not be Christmas movies, but you think of them just because Christmas tones are so overblown, right?
Like, are you talking about like It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah, like
That
It's a
kind of
Wonderful
stuff?
Life, that type of stuff. Just because the imagery of Christmas is just bam right in your face.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, like It's a Wonderful Life has a good theme for Christmas. It's all about family and love and the kind of stuff that Christmas movies tend to focus on. But still,
Yeah. No, definitely.
I've made my case. I've seen, even just this morning, I saw some poll out of Britain where most people in England disagree. They say it is not a Christmas movie, which I would say is just one more reason why we rebelled. Obviously, they're wrong.
Doesn't matter that it came 200 years too late.
Well, yeah, obviously, we were very forward thinking.
Yeah.
Ahead of our time.
There's a tea leaves joke in there somewhere, but I think I'm too far out to make
I
it.
think that you should just stop. I mean,
Okay, well,
I think that's the best thing for us right now.
how about we try something a little different here?
All right.
Change what?
Because it is Christmas, and I thought we'd have a little treat. Let's try playing a little game.
Sorry, I did not just mean to
like
hit the table
games.
and make all that ruckus.
You're fine.
Let's have a ruckus with a game here. We're gonna play a little game called By the Numbers about Die Hard. And I've got some numbers here, and you guys just have to tell me what they are. Where are they coming from? What's the point of them?
I'm so excited to fail.
They're all from the movie, so or related to the movie. And I'll give you choices for some of them.
Okay.
So it's not just like 13. Yeah, no, see, like that would be boring. No, what is
The floor that's missing from Nakatomi Plaza.
Here's question number 1. Actually, it's probably true. Anyway, what is 1.368 billion having to do with the movie? 1.368 billion.
Is this an open book quiz?
Steps in the Nakatomi Plaza.
I don't think there would be that many steps. Oh my god, $1 billion is a lot.
I mean,
Combined
I'm
steps.
going
That's a
for
good
it.
guess, though. I like that.
Going for it. I have no idea.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there.
Bricks in
No
the
fear.
plaza.
That's how people
Bricks.
get hit with
Oh,
cars.
that's a better one. No, it's a more interesting answer than that. $1.368 billion.
Of cocaine in this film?
That's how much they did behind the scenes.
I was just thinking
no.
of Ellis as props.
Oh yeah,
I was like, how many takes was that? 87.
Blubby.
This is why you don't let me do trivia, because I'll just start spouting off answers that make no sense.
I like it though. It keeps it
What year did the
interesting.
Titanic sink? Iceberg!
I think I'm going to make another notification sound for the website of Ellis going, Bubby,
Booby.
I can give them to you. Just anyway, 1.368 billion is the inflation-adjusted value of what the thieves stole from Nakatomi Plaza.
Whoa.
That's a lot of money.
Well, I was thinking of that, but I'm like, well, I wouldn't know the math.
Yeah, I did the math.
You did the
So
math.
they steal $640 million,
Yeah.
but that was in 1988. So
It's a good year.
inflation. That's right. A lot of good things came out of 1988, like me and Bobby
Yeah.
and Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
But when you adjust for inflation, you've got $1.368 billion. I mean, this is a lot of money that they're stealing.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yowza.
I mean, I'd be happy with $640 million. Don't get me wrong, but
Well, I think any of us would, which is why we should start like a campaign.
obviously that's why we're making a podcast, right?
Oh yeah.
We got that $1.368 billion on the horizon yet? Anyway, all right. Here's question number 2.
Get that
I'll give
MeUndies
you 2 choices here. There's 2 numbers. One of the numbers is the number of times that someone says the F word,
Ooh.
and the other one is the number of deaths in the movie. So which is which? Number of F words, number of deaths. 32, 23.
I would
32
say
F words.
23 deaths.
23 deaths.
So we basically are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You're agreeing. 23 deaths, 32 F words.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are right.
Okay.
Yeah, 23 deaths. Most of them come from John McClane.
Yeah.
He gets 10. 10 of those 23 are his.
God bless.
Hans Gruber gets quite a few. Carl gets quite a few, actually.
Yes. Yes.
But he gets 10. It's actually, of all of the Die Hard movies, this has the lowest of McClane's death count.
Really?
Yeah. It has, in every other movie, he kills more than 10 people. But,
All right.
yeah. Okay. So Here's question number 3. Yeah, and then F-bombs. I think that's right. I went through and counted them, so I'm pretty
Gotcha.
sure. And that's all of the variations of the F word, too, we'll say. Including Hans Gruber's very strange, one at the end, where he leaves off the ER.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't want to say it, but 32.
Because you're a gentleman.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're going for that clean tag on iTunes. So, all right, here's question number 3. 18 minutes. I'll give you more of this. 18 minutes into the film, something happens for the first time. What is it? 18 minutes into the movie overall is 132 minutes long. It's a long movie.
Yeah.
I always forget how long it is when we sit down to watch it. So
It
it's
shows
like a
John
pleasant
McClane's
surprise.
feet.
Oh, that is a good guess, but no. I'm pretty sure that happens like 5 minutes into the movie.
The first guard dies.
You know what? Hold on. I think you might be right. That's not what I was thinking of, but I think you're actually correct. Because it's the first time that a gun is shot.
Okay.
And I think the first time that a gun is shot is
A guard
when
dies.
Carl kills that guard down. The dumbest guard, honestly. We were watching it. I watched this last night with Jenny again. And so we noticed when McClane gets there and he finds out that his wife is using her maiden name because he's using the touch screen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he finds out, okay, so that's her. He asks the guard where she is, and he says, "Oh yeah, the company party up on 30th floor. They're the only ones in the building." So you couldn't have just said that at the beginning?
Yeah, right.
I'm here to see somebody. Well, they're either at the company party or they're not here. But I'm going to make you go through this whole thing of playing around with this screen because isn't that cool?
Because it's a plot device and you have to find out
That's
that your
right.
wife has taken her maiden name.
That's, you still feel bad when he dies, but I kind of thought natural selection. But
Yeah.
anyway, I got one more here. This one's kind of a silly one, but what is 77 cents in the movie? At one point, you see the price for something is 77 cents. What is it?
Crunch bar.
No.
A newspaper.
No. But both of those things could be purchased at the same place.
The 77 cent
cents.
store.
Is it a Pez dispenser? I'm
You're just thinking of
I have
80s
no
stuff
idea.
now? It's gas. Gasoline. Yeah. It's when it's when he looks up at the building. Oh no, it's when Powell, that's what it is. He buys the armful of Twinkies and he goes out
he's
to
at
his
the gas
car
station.
and he's at the gas station and he gets the call to go investigate the code 2 and he looks up at the Nakatomi Plaza building and it shows the gas station sign right next to it. 77 cents for unleaded gasoline. 74 cents for regular because it was the 80s and you could still buy regular gas.
Yeah, all right.
Which, side note, I should give a shout out to Chris, my buddy who lives in LA, and apparently he told me this last night that he works 2 blocks from that Fox Corporation building, so he sees Nakatomi Plaza every day.
Nice,
Wow.
nice.
And I know he's
That's the
listening
dream.
to the podcast. Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Apparently, you are. I read this. He didn't tell me this, but apparently, you are not allowed to take pictures there. Because a lot of people want to go and get take pictures in the lobby and stuff, and they say no, you can't. You need to leave because they don't want it to be that tourist kind of attraction. You can take pictures outside, kind of,
Yeah.
but not on their property.
In the parking garage where Argyle's hanging out.
Oh, Argyle,
such a nice guy.
what a guy!
What a
He
name.
is. What a name! Yeah, I mean that's classy. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Nice job, guys. By the numbers, I like it.
Woof.
That
I like
was fun.
that.
fun.
We should do that more often.
Should do that more.
Comment below and tell us if we should do that.
All right. Well, what else?
Well, we've talked about I don't know. I'm pretty steadfast in my Christmas movie selection and how this should be a part of the Christmas canon. Yeah. And I feel like there's so much more that we could dive into there, but there's nobody here for a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all pretty adamant that it's a Christmas film. So, yeah, how about we open the discussion up to some of our listeners, huh? Maybe.
I thought you were about to say we've got one on the line right now.
We've got one on the line right now.
How'd you manage that?
That good. No, I'm thinking of tweet at us, comment on Facebook.
I like that idea.
Somehow leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the air.
Yeah, you can record your voice and then email it to us.
Send us a video clip.
Cauldron@gmail.com.
Send us a video clip.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Video response.
Taking it back to like YouTube in like 2007.
Before the big corporation.
We don't need to talk about it. It's fine.
But yeah, I think that would be a fun discussion to have with you guys. It's Christmas after all. Let's get out there and be merry and talk about movies and what qualifies as a Christmas movie, right?
I just want to go watch Die Hard again.
Yeah, that's.
I was going to make an It's a Wonderful Life joke, but we're working on that clean rating.
Every time a bell rings, Hans Gruber falls off of Nakatomi Plaza.
Nakatomi.
Oh,
so much better.
Get the Bob's Burgers
Get the
reference
Bob's
in there.
Burgers in there.
Lovely. So where is this movie going, though? I mean, we've got a whole franchise here. Die Hard. Not only did it spark a whole genre, but it did give us a few sequels. We already talked about one.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to confess.
What's that?
I have not seen the fifth Die Hard movie.
Really?
I've seen the first three a bunch of
Actually,
times. I
don't know
love the
if
second
I
one.
have either.
The second Die Hard, the subtitle Die Harder.
Yeah.
Like it, no other movie needs subtitle needs a subtitle anymore because that
automatically
wins.
Yeah.
But I saw the fourth one in theaters. I think.
That was Live Free or Die Hard, right?
Yeah, that was one with Timothy Olyphant as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it was fun, but it was different. And then when the fifth one came out, I think Jenny went to see it at the theater, and I stayed home with the kids, and I just never saw it.
Yeah, I did go see Live Free or Die Hard, and I felt like that wasn't so much a Die Hard movie because there's no confined space.
Yeah, he's turning into more of a like a Mission Impossible kind of hero. Right. He's. I just remember the scene in the fourth one where he's on a bridge or something, and the bridge explodes, and he just rides the chunks of concrete to the ground and doesn't die. I mean, I don't know. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's exciting. It's just it's different.
It's a
God
superhero
bless.
movie.
If I was in that situation, I'd be the first one to die.
Truth.
No argument. I would be right there with you.
But they are in talks for a sixth. There is another Die Hard that has been rumored for a while. They were going to do a kind of a TV show idea, but then Fox decided to adapt that into 24, and the new season or the new version of 24 that came out last year. Did you guys ever watch 24?
I did watch 24. Yeah,
It was kind of fun.
It was a cool premise.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a premise that doesn't work as well now. Like watching it without commercial breaks, it doesn't function quite as well. But it's a really cool idea. Everything's in real time.
Netflix stuff. Yeah.
For 20. So like if they say we'll be there in 20 minutes, then 20 minutes
Takes
later,
20 minutes.
they're there.
Oh, okay.
But they took some of the ideas that they were going to use for Die Hard 6 and did that. But they're still talking about Die Hard 6, which I really hope gets called Die Hardest. Because if they don't call it that,
Die
It's
Hardester.
a missed opportunity.
It is, honestly.
I do. If they do make a sixth, we're gonna have to have one massive movie night, like movie day night,
Yeah.
weekend, really.
Well, I have the first four, so
Yeah, the fifth one was the one with his kid. Like his son is all grown up, and I don't know. I haven't avoided it. I just keep forgetting.
just
it's
haven't
a
had
thing.
the.
Gumption.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Okay, so one of the big things that's in the news right now is Disney's acquisition of Fox. We have to mention that, considering that Die Hard is a Fox property.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Could we see a crossover of like,
Okay, so
Star Wars, X-Men, Marvel, and John McClane?
back in
And
the day,
Queen Elsa.
back in the day, there was an internet video called "The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny."
Yeah,
Did you ever see
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That's
It's
what I
been a
think
little
Disney
bit.
is building up towards. Like, forget all of this business with the cinematic universes and Iron Man showing up in Captain America or the Hulk's movie or whatever. And forget making a gajillion more Star Wars movies. I think they just want to have this massive conglomeration of everything. Mm-hmm. I could dig it.
Can you dig it?
I could dig it.
All right.
Just John McClane hanging out with Mickey Mouse. No big deal.
Yippee-ki-yay, maybe not. Yeah, Goofy.
Oh, no.
Donald would be on the side with Alan Rickman.
Oh, no, I could totally see Goofy falling off at Nakatomi Plaza.
Okay, this took a turn.
Took a turn,
I
but
don't
I
know
think
how I
we
feel
recast
about
it to the 6th Die Hard.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. So we do need to finish talking up of what it will be. And so with the Fox in the air with Disney, we don't know if that's one of the properties or not, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that they still have to work out.
Yeah.
I know that a couple of different governmental figures have already said that they're going to start looking at antitrust.
Yeah, put their foot down on that one.
Suits and yeah, so we'll see. I mean, there's part of me that's really excited about it because I am a huge fan of the idea of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men coming back into the Marvel movies.
That would be cool.
But I'm also pretty nervous about some of the other things
Yeah.
that could come out of this.
That streaming service is
Yeah, that's
and the cost of all that stuff. So that's one of my things. I think everybody should have like really awesome exposure to movies, and that might make it a little more difficult.
and I'm concerned about the possibility of smaller projects not getting as much of an opportunity.
Yeah.
If they have to play ball with these big studios. I'm thinking of Fox Searchlight, for example.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
studio that's done some really awesome, like award-winning, really thought-provoking work in the last few years. Hopefully Disney, if the whole acquisition goes through, hopefully they let them continue doing the great work that they've been doing.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. We'll see. There's so many questions at this point.
There are. And let's hope that Die Hard stays Die Hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because there's, like we've talked about it, the way that this movie came about, it went through so many iterations and so many changes, even as it was being shot.
Yeah.
I mean, great example of this, the magical ambulance. Mm-hmm. Remember how at the end the ambulance comes out of the truck? When the terrorists or thieves,
Robbers.
the robbers are getting off of that truck at the beginning, you see what's in the truck, and there is no
There's
ambulance in the
nothing.
truck.
Yeah.
And there's no space for an ambulance, but then at the end they needed an ambulance because that was the getaway.
That was how they're going to get out.
And so
Yeah.
they just say, oh, yeah, I guess it's just in the truck there. and we just go with it because they were just writing it on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that kind of flexibility, I think, means that it could still work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could. I know one of the rumors about this sixth movie is that it's going to be set in 2 different decades. So that maybe it'll be done a lot in flashbacks back to the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So you'll have Bruce Willis in 2018 or whenever the movie comes out, with one storyline, but then it'll be like one of those movies where the stuff in the past informs what the storyline
What's happening
in the
in the
present.
future? Yeah. Okay.
But and that would really help, I think, to maintain the feel of Die Hard, because so much of what goes on in these movies would be fixed if he just had a cell phone.
It's very, very
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
At least for the first three. I know
Yeah.
in the second or the newer ones that he probably does, but
Well, they build that in.
yeah,
Why won't my cell phone work? Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, we've talked about the new Die Hard 6, and all that stuff.
Die Hardest, come on.
Die Hardest. Let's make it happen. Hashtag Die Hardest.
Yes.
But let's talk about like all of the references to Die Hard in pop culture today. I mean, we mentioned one, Bob's Burgers. I mean, and they talk about it actually quite a bit.
They turned it into a musical.
Yeah, Die Hard the musical. Yeah, Nakatomi. Right? And I absolutely love that episode. By the way, it's just made my day.
Gene is my spirit animal.
Oh, same here. Think about it.
I'm more of a Louise. Sorry.
Oh,
I
boy.
wish I was a Louise, but I recognize I'm a Gene.
Yeah.
Actually, I think of all of them, I feel like Bob more often than not.
Well, I actually do have a soundboard with fart noises, so I'm pretty sure I'm a Gene. But
Nice.
yeah, I mean, let's talk about all these other movies that have been basically made in the whole design of Die Hard. Because I mean, if you look at that honest trailers, they go through so many Die Hard on a plane, Die Hard on another plane, Die Hard on a president's
Okay,
plane.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now it's basically its own genre. It's a Die Hard movie.
Yeah,
right?
even in some TV shows, there was an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which was it was actually joking around that it was Die Hard in space because Captain Picard has to stop a bunch of robbers who are trying to steal the Enterprise, and for some reason I forget he's the only one on the ship. I think everybody else is on vacation or something. But yeah. So he's sneaking around through the air ducts. I don't think he's shirtless, but. Yeah,
But yeah, it sounds about right. It's a Die Hard.
and I mean, I said it earlier. Home Alone.
Home Alone,
Yeah.
Die Hard Jr. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Air Force One.
Olympus
Snakes
Has
on a
Fallen.
Plane.
White House Down.
Yeah, I mean tons.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
All the Speed movies. Yeah, it's crazy. Like to think that formula for Die Hard is now a go-to for action movies.
And it gets referenced explicitly in other ways. Like, did you ever watch the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
It's a fun sitcom. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really goofy. I love Terry Crews, but they are constantly referencing Die Hard and quoting it, and I think that's one place where you see it a lot is quotes coming up in other movies or
parodies like Spy Hard.
Yeah. Spy Hard.
Bringing out that gem.
And in fact, I just watched Office Christmas Party. And
is that with Jason Bateman?
Yes,
Yeah.
and T.J. Miller, and
Oh, TJ.
Jennifer Aniston, and
You mean T.J. Miller, star of Yogi Bear 3?
yes, I do. In fact, there's a security guard at the bottom of the building in the lobby, and halfway through the movie, they're like, every Christmas movie needs a John McClane or something like that. It's like, you're ours. They hand her a couple tasers, and it's really funny. I was like, oh, awesome, and that's a Christmas movie referencing another Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Die Hard. Yeah.
But the security guard was I would not want to be a security guard in
No,
a Die Hard movie.
Absolutely not.
They die.
The fact that they tell her that she's their John McClane, that makes it all better.
That's true. Yeah.
So anyway, that kind of brings us towards the end of the hour.
Quick question.
Yes.
John McClane in a fight with John McClane. Who
Oh
would
my
win?
God!
So like
My mind is melting.
this is one of those Marvel.
Oh, now you know
multiple
how I feel whenever we have a
universes, right?
podcast.
So yeah,
Honestly, we're gonna get deep for a minute.
we're gonna get deep.
I think that's what Die Hard is all about. Because John McClane, he is not happy. He does not like himself. And this is a movie about a man who puts himself through a lot of pain and suffering. I mean, isn't it really John McClane versus John McClane from the very beginning?
Thank you. This has been our new NPR episode.
I had to get
Yeah.
my Audie Cornish voice on.
This question is brought to you by Saltines.
And avocado toast. No, I mean in a fight, how could you do that? How could you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's twins separated at birth, or did we have a DC or Marvel multiple universe clash, or what?
Yeah,
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think if it came to it, I don't think he would fight himself. I think
Yeah.
he would.
We could always get really into it and just be like, okay, Die Hard McClane versus Die Harder McClane.
Ooh. Die Hard or McClane. He kills like 24 people in that movie. He takes on like an entire team of Navy SEALs and wins
Yeah.
somehow.
But yeah, and we're talking about this as all in fun. We don't condone his behavior.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Please don't throw people off of buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't.
Don't.
Unless,
Nope, just stop right there.
No,
Don't.
unless-
Don't.
We don't need that.
All right, fine. I was gonna say
Nope.
Hans Gruber. All right. So yeah, that totally brings us to the end of the hour. We should.
There's some poor man out there named Hans Gruber, and now someone's going to be like, I can go throw him off a building.
No.
Oh, can you imagine?
The movie
I don't
villain,
want to.
Hans Gruber. So anyway,
Rest in peace, Alan Rickman.
yes, moment of silence.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that was a good moment of silence.
I feel good.
All right, before we go, recommendations,
Always.
all of them.
Yeah, I will say that my kids haven't seen it yet.
That's probably a good
Well,
thing.
yeah.
Just because I think, especially by the end, he looks pretty intimidating when he's covered in blood and the building's on fire for some reason. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
understand.
don't know.
Oh my
I'm not
gosh.
sure
I just
what
thought of a
point.
question. How many tank tops did they go through in the filming of this movie?
Ooh, that would have been a good by the numbers question.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up and then put it on Twitter. Okay.
All
Sorry.
right. Okay, so I'd say we recommend it to all those who are the proper age.
And if you want to watch the the edited for TV version,
It's amazing.
it's hilarious for all the wrong reasons. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hilarious. You, Mr. Falcons.
My friend. Okay, so what changes? Anything you think?
How could you change a perfect
I
movie?
think, yeah. It's a great
That was
Christmas
a
movie.
statement, and someone's going to fight you about it. And I am ready.
No, I honestly, I got nothing.
Yeah, I've got absolutely nothing as well. So
I mean, I can't. I mean, there are things that I think would be funny. It would be funny to see. I don't know, Argyle punch Theo more.
Yeah.
When Argyle runs the limo into the ambulance and then punches Theo out. Like that would be funny. But,
that would be.
But no, I mean it's
Hey,
such
we can't all be John McClane.
everything wraps up so well.
True.
It seeds all these different. Oh, we haven't even talked about Richard Thornburg. He's the one part of the movie that I really don't care that much about.
Yeah,
It's so
same.
annoying.
I mean, it's kind of mandatory
yeah,
as a plot point, but
and you do get a really satisfying end to his story.
yeah,
But yeah, I just don't.
a restraining
I've
order.
heard that William Atherton, I think it is William Atherton. He's, he was in Ghostbusters also, playing an extremely
same
unlikable character. I've heard that he's actually like had people threaten him and things on the street because they can't separate him
from his character.
Yeah, because he's an actor playing a part, and I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I know nothing about him other than the movies that he's been in, but I'm sure he's not the horrible human being that he is in Die Hard and in Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't either. So. Yeah, that about does it for us talking about this amazing piece of cultural genius. I don't know. Let's call it that.
Greatest Christmas movie ever.
Greatest Christmas movie ever. Yeah, so thanks for joining us today on the Story Cauldron. The music for this episode is from the band Hook Sounds.
And like we said earlier, you can reach us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can email us. Let us know what you think.
And make sure that you go and check out thestorycauldron.com so you can find out more about our podcast or As His People. And don't forget to rate us on iTunes and leave us a review.
It helps other people to find our podcast, and it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy, just like the cup of hot cocoa, right? And it makes us feel pretty awesome that you care to listen to us rant on about movies that we enjoy.
And it helps other people find us to listen to our rants.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're very self-serving.
But yeah, until next time,
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.